sponsor a child? Any place to go for that if, say, they're interested?
I'm sure we can get you the information for the Department of Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, and the program that they are running. And a lot of it is through local organizations and community groups as well.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. On Georgia's new laws restricting voting, President Biden called them last week I think the most pernicious thing. Does the White House believe now that the laws have been signed that companies or individual consumers should boycott Georgia or Georgia businesses? Like, what should people do who don't have a voting Congress to vote on these voting laws?
The people of Georgia?
The people of Georgia, people across the country.
They should elect new leaders. They can take steps like any individual can take as an American citizen to have their voice heard and exercise their democratic right.
But does he believe that that people should boycott? There are increasing calls for them.
That's not a call we're making from here. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. The Vice President has said before that the exodus of women leaving the workforce during the pandemic is a national emergency. Yeah. The President has said that we're dealing with an acute, immediate child care crisis in America. I know that child care is a part of his infrastructure initiative, and Wednesday we will hear more about his physical...
In April, you'll hear more.
Well, I guess that's my question. Why aren't we hearing more about this first before the physical infrastructure needs, given that it's such an emergency and given that we're in a situation right now where women are in or families are in desperate need of child care assistance?
Well, the President and the Vice President agree. That's why they pushed so hard to get the American Rescue Plan passed that ensured that millions of families could get funding through the child tax credit, could get $1,400 checks out to a large number of families across the country, 100 million which have already gone out. Why the earned income tax credit was something he fought to have in there as well. But he believes that that's not enough and we need to do more. And so he's looking forward to, in a couple of weeks, laying out more specifics of his plan to do exactly that. Go ahead.
So the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy announced this formation of a task force to investigate past tampering with science decisions in the White House. And I'm wondering what was sort of the thinking behind forming that task force, and what do you guys hope to find or accomplish with it?
Well, the President issued a memorandum on scientific integrity and evidence-based policymaking, directing agencies to make evidence-based decisions guided by the best available science and data. And so this task force will be taking a whole-of-government approach to reinstate science across federal agencies and ensure that it is part of how decision-making is made. They're going to examine policies that were antithetical to that mission over the last 4 years, and also look ahead and ensure it's integrated as we move forward. We're just inaugurating that process, and it's just as evidence that the President believes that scientific integrity matters, and it should be central to how we approach governing.
Is there a punitive aspect to it? Like, are you trying to find wrongdoers and punish them in some way? Or?
I think the focus is on ensuring that our policies moving forward, that policies that are not meeting that bar, that are still in place, are changed, and that we institute this as central to how we approach policymaking in our agencies across government moving forward.
Okay, and one more. Do you have an update on whether the Vice President plans to travel to Central America or to the border as part of her looking into the root causes of the immigration problem?
I don't have an update on her travel, but since you gave me the opportunity, it's important to understand and know that she is focused on addressing root causes in the region. And so travel, I would expect, would be there, the border, and expediting processing at the border, opening shelters, ensuring we're moving kids out of Border Patrol facilities. That is really under the purview of the Department of Homeland Security and HHS. And they will all work together, but the Vice President's focus is on the region, root causes, and engaging with governments directly.
So if she were to travel, it would be to Central America or something like that?
That would be my expectation, but I don't have any travel to preview at this point in time. Go ahead in the back.
To the bloodshed in Myanmar, what is China's role in the crisis of Myanmar, and what do you expect Peking or Beijing to do?
What do we expect Beijing to do? Well, certainly when we engage with partners in the region, China is one of those one of those countries, of course, in the region. I don't think I have anything more in terms of calls for action, other than we have worked through the National Security Council, or through the UN Security Council, I should say, through several global entities to ensure we are sending a clear message as a global community about the actions in Burma, and that we are taking sanction steps as a coordinated global community as well. Go ahead in the back.
Thank you, Jen. Two foreign policy questions
Sure.
and a third one for a colleague. On Yemen, U.S. Envoy Linder King is currently in Oman and having discussions in order to promote a lasting peace and ceasefire in Yemen. How are these discussions have been going?
Well, I know that he's spent a fair amount of time on these discussions and working on addressing and stemming the humanitarian crisis, but also working toward some element of a ceasefire, of course, in the region. I would point you to the State Department, where he works directly for any update on the discussions. We're, of course, receiving updates here as well.
And the second one is on Iran. Now that they've signed this long-term agreement with China, does the administration still have the same policy towards Iran, especially in terms of returning to the nuclear deal? And is the president willing to partially lift some sanctions on Iran in exchange of its return to the nuclear deal?
That's not under consideration. We remain hopeful and focused on returning to a diplomatic approach in partnership with members of the P5+1. China is, of course, a member of that. And we, of course, will take a look at and ensure that any sanctions that need to be implemented would be as it relates to this package. But we haven't looked at the specific agreement yet at this point in time. So our approach remains the same, and nothing has changed about our approach.
The president said that he's been concerned about it for years. What did he mean by that, and how concerning is this for the administration?
Concerned about, I know he was asked a question yesterday.
Between China, the apparently 25 years long-term agreement between China and Iran?
Well, China has been a member of the P5+1, an important partner as it related to getting the deal passed to begin with. Certainly would be an important partner as we look ahead to a diplomatic approach. At this point in time, we're still working through those steps and don't have an update on the engagement.
Thank you, Jen. And my colleague's question is on North Korea. Now that the president said that he's, quote, prepared for some form of diplomacy with North Korea. Does this include sitting with President Kim Jong-un?
I think his approach would be quite different, and that is not his intention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Okay.
Thank you.